What if that little birthmark on your skin is not just a mark, but a memory? A memory so deep, so ancient, that it survived death itself. Sounds impossible? Wait till you hear what science has quietly uncovered. Across the world, thousands of children claim they've lived before. They talk about different homes, different parents, and even how they died. And here's the eerie part: some of them have birthmarks that match the exact wounds of the people they claim to have been. We're not talking about vague stories, we're talking about evidence. Medical reports, autopsies, and scars that shouldn't exist. This is one of the most chilling and fascinating mysteries in modern history. The story begins in a quiet building at the University of Virginia. Inside, Dr. Ian Stevenson was conducting research that most scientists laughed at. But he didn't care about opinions, he cared about proof. Over 50 years, he traveled across continents collecting cases of children with past life memories. He wasn't looking for ghost stories. He wanted patterns, facts, and documentation. And what he found was staggering: over 2,500 verified cases. Most of these children began talking about their past lives between ages 2 and 5. Many described their previous names, where they lived, how they died. And the details weren't vague. They were specific and often verifiable. Parents, neighbors, even local officials confirmed the accuracy in several cases. But skeptics still asked, could it be imagination? Or maybe the children overheard stories from adults? Dr. Stevenson wanted to go deeper, beyond memory. He began focusing on children with physical signs connected to their past life claims. Birthmarks, birth defects, abnormalities with no medical explanation. And what he discovered shocked even him. Around 30% of the 2,500 children had marks that matched the fatal injuries of the people they claimed to be. Some were small, perfectly round marks. Others were large, discolored patches or deformed body parts. One Indian boy said he was shot with a shotgun in a past life. He was born with a spray of circular birthmarks across his chest. Stevenson obtained the autopsy of the man the boy claimed to be. The pattern of shotgun wounds matched the boy's birthmarks, in shape, size, and position. Another child remembered being stabbed in the neck. He had a dark, narrow birthmark exactly where the wound would have been. These were not faded or random skin patterns. They looked like scars. In some cases, they were rough, raised, or missing hair entirely. Then came the cases with missing fingers, malformed ears, or paralyzed limbs. And each time, the child described a death that involved that exact injury. A Turkish boy claimed he was shot in the head. He was born with a deformed right ear and partial facial paralysis. The injury matched the location of the gunshot wound in the deceased man's record. Over 200 cases like this have been documented, many with supporting medical proof. And this is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll explore children with 2 birthmarks, entry and exit wounds, and the mind-blowing theory that could explain how this is even possible. Ready for more? Then let's go deeper. Imagine this. A child is born with not just 1, but 2 strange birthmarks. One small and round, the other larger and irregular. Doctors are puzzled. There's no medical reason. Then the child says, "I was shot. This is where the bullet entered and exited." Sounds like a movie? It's not. Dr. Ian Stevenson documented 18 such cases, and in every one of them, the birthmarks aligned with forensic reality. Entry wounds, small and clean. Exit wounds, larger, jagged, and messier, just like in real autopsy reports. These aren't just marks, they're maps of memory etched on the body. The most chilling part? In many cases, the original person's death was confirmed by an autopsy, and the child's marks matched exactly. Science had no explanation, but Stevenson proposed a stunning theory. What if the consciousness survives death? And what if that consciousness, still holding trauma, enters a new body? In those early weeks of fetal development, that emotional memory could literally imprint itself on skin and bone. That's why most of these birthmark cases are connected to violent deaths. Murders, suicides, gunshots, accidents. It's not just memory, Its trauma so intense, it reshapes the next life. And these stories aren't just from India or Turkey. They're happening all over the world. In Thailand, a boy was born with two distinct birthmarks, one on the back of his head and another above his left eye. As soon as he could talk, he said he was a schoolteacher who was shot in the head. Investigators confirmed a man named Buakai was shot exactly there while riding his bicycle. The birthmarks matched his bullet entry and exit wounds. In India, a girl named Sunita had a large bleeding birthmark on the right side of her head. Her family had to treat it daily with herbal powders. She later spoke of a previous life where she was hit fatally on that same side of the head. Medical records of that woman's death matched her story and the birthmark location. And then there's the boy who was born with only stubs for fingers on his right hand. As a toddler, he said he was a man who lost his hand in a fodder chopping machine. His birth defect, rare unexplained, was in perfect sync with his past life memory. Again and again the pattern repeats. Deep trauma, specific death, exact body mark. And most of these children stop talking about these memories by age 7. But until then, they speak with confidence, emotion, and clarity, like survivors. These stories aren't being told by hypnotized adults or manipulated minds. They're coming from children, many from families that don't even believe in reincarnation. That's what makes them powerful. No agenda, no myth building, just truth as they remember it. We now stand at the edge of something huge. What if these birthmarks are proof that consciousness carries memory across lifetimes? What if the soul doesn't just return, but carries its wounds with it? In the final segment, we'll meet a little American boy whose case stunned even the skeptics. A boy who remembered dying in World War II and proved it. In Louisiana, USA, a 2-year-old boy began waking up screaming. Airplane crash, on fire, little man can't get out. His name, James Leininger? His parents were devout Christians. They had never spoken of reincarnation. But James kept saying he was a pilot and that he flew a Corsair. He even named his aircraft carrier, the USS Natoma Bay, and said he had a friend named Jack Larson. He was obsessed with planes, but not like a normal kid. He crashed toy planes repeatedly, always the same way, fire and drowning. His parents started researching, expecting to find nothing. But everything James said and was real. The USS Natoma Bay was a real WWE ship that fought at Iwo Jima. A pilot named Jack Larson served on it. And one pilot, James M. Houston Jr., was shot down and killed, exactly as little James described. Hit in the engine, couldn't escape, plane exploded. And yes, Houston flew a Corsair. When shown old photos, young James recognized fellow pilots by name. He also corrected details his own father didn't know until military records confirmed them. This wasn't imagination, it was impossible knowledge from a toddler. James Leininger's case is now one of the most documented reincarnation cases in the Western world. But the question remains, how is this possible? Can consciousness truly exist beyond the brain? Dr. Stevenson believed so. He proposed that our consciousness continues and carries emotional energy into the next life, especially if the previous death was sudden, traumatic, or violent. That emotional imprint might influence how the next body forms, creating birthmarks or defects. In this view, the body remembers what the mind forgot. And birthmarks? They're not random, they're residue from another life. Thousands of children, hundreds of medical records, cases across India, Turkey, Thailand, the US, Sri Lanka, and more. Most children never heard of reincarnation before they started speaking. Some were born into families who completely rejected such beliefs. And yet, their bodies and memories told another story. Skeptics offer explanations, coincidence, fantasy, family influence. But these theories collapse when you examine the strongest cases. How does a toddler name warships and fallen soldiers without ever hearing about them? How do children get birthmarks that match autopsy diagrams? How do they remember 2 lives when science says we only get one? Maybe it's time we admit we don't fully understand consciousness. Maybe memory doesn't live in just the brain, but in the soul. Maybe your body remembers more than your mind does. That tiny mark on your hand, your back, your chest could be a clue. A scar from a moment you never knew you lived. What if a birthmark isn't the beginning of your story, but the continuation? Not just skin deep, but soul deep. You may not remember your past life, but your body, maybe it never forgot. Still think birthmarks are just random? Or could they be messages from a life you've already lived? If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and join us as we uncover the deepest mysteries of the mind, science, and the soul.